Metro Exodus, how is it? What's good, what's bad?
Yeah, so we got the review code for this last week. I've managed to play quite a bit through it. I'm not as far through it as I would have liked to, because I've been hit by the bugs and the flu and all that sort of jazz. Yeah, a little bit. I've been sleeping an awful lot. But what I have played of it, it conflicts me, to be honest with you.
That's an odd thing to say about a game.
Yeah, because I really like a lot of what it does. And the things that appealed to me before I played the game is still the stuff that appeals to me now. But as I'm playing the game,
And what are those things?
Let me set it up. Kind of explain what it is.
Okay.
So Metro came out a few days ago. Obviously, it is a story-driven first-person shooter with a variety of kind of small open areas to explore. I don't want to say open world.
Yeah, it's not really open world at all, is it?
No. So, for example, the first area is kind of snowy, and kind of frosty, and there's ice bits and pieces everywhere, and there's later sections which are a bit different, Mad Maxy type in there, kind of layout, sandals, all that sort of stuff. But going back to the question you asked, the game looks absolutely stunning. It looks remarkable at times, and we're playing on an Xbox One.
Yeah.
Just a normal Xbox One,
Xbox One,
not even Xbox One X. The game looks phenomenal, and I think that's partly down to the fact that 4A Games, the developers of Metro Exodus and the past Metro games, they've just got the atmosphere of the game just so spot on. Obviously, we've spoken a lot about Resident Evil 2 in the past few weeks and how it's,
How
real
much
like
that looks,
panic-inducing and fear-inducing, and that was more down to... don't get me wrong, the look of that game is fantastic, but a lot of that was down to just the layout, Mr. X and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
but this is
tones of the music and stuff.
This is literally just down to the look of the world. Like, it's a post-apocalyptic world, a nuclear war has happened. In a way, it sort of reminds me of Fallout, but when you see those really amazing mods on Fallout that make it look like an absolutely stunning game.
Yeah.
It's a bit like that. But the atmosphere, the darkness, just the depth of the world of Metro is pretty impressive.
What's it like gameplay-wise? Because from my understanding is you don't get that many bullets and things like that. So has that been an issue for you, or how have you handled that?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. There is definitely a lack of bullets. I mean, there's also a lack of light in certain areas where you can't really see much.
Yeah,
and
and health as well. It's the other thing, isn't it?
It's a lot of inventory management. There's a lot of crafting for materials. Bullets are scarce. You have to scavenge for materials and all that sort of stuff. And I don't want to say it's a lot of management, but there's probably a little bit more management of equipment and stuff than I personally like.
So it's a bit more survivally than you would have wanted.
Again, I'm not sure if I would go as far as to say survivally, because I feel like it doesn't go that far into that kind of genre. That's the thing, it's not, I wouldn't describe it as an open world, but then it's not a linear first-person shooter, but it's not a survival game. It's this weird
it's
kind
not
of
a horror
mix.
game either.
Yeah, it's not quite any of those things.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong, again, there's horror elements.
But not all of it is horror.
No, definitely not. It's very story-driven. It's more story-driven than I thought. This is my first Metro game.
Yeah.
So I think it's good to point that out, that I've come into this game and not
Being
knowing the
fresh,
backstory,
yeah.
and it follows on from the events of the last game. I don't feel out of place. I feel like I know what's going on.
You don't feel out of place.
Yeah.
That's always the worst thing, I think, when you play a game and it's the first one you've played in the series, and it's really hard to get into because you don't know that backstory.
Definitely. One thing I actually love about the game, and this is again, it goes sort of with the atmosphere, but it's set in kind of like the old Russian Federation.
Yeah.
And I just like the fact it's not New York. It's not San Francisco.
Different.
It's somewhere different. The accents are different. There is one American guy in your squad, which is fine. It's absolutely fine. It's not a problem with that. But I just like this. There's a real Eastern European feel about the whole thing.
Which you don't get too often these days.
Exactly.
In games, no.
And it's a little bit like... do you know what? I'll use an American game as an example, actually. Or a game set in America. Red Dead Redemption 2 was good because you were a cowboy.
It put you
In that cowboy world. You felt like a cowboy. You felt like you were back in the 1910s, whenever it was. And this does the same thing. Like, you're in Eastern Europe. All right, this world's not real. It's after a nuclear holocaust and all that sort of stuff.
You can still get the sense of the world that was there before.
Yeah.
Almost,
And it's I just like this kind of Eastern European, I guess, bravado or or whatever you call it. But it's just different. It's very unique. It's
just nice to have a different culture for a change.
Yeah. It's different is good. Different is good.
And what things aren't you enjoying in the game?
Huh.
Is that quite a lot then?
I mean, I still have quite a few hours to go, quite a few hours to play. So let's not make this a definitive, it is this, it is that. But I personally don't like a lot of the management stuff.
What stuff do you need to manage then? Obviously, we've already said you have to do crafting. And
It's basically the stuff I said earlier. You have to craft, you have to scavenge materials, you have to make bullets, you have to upgrade your guns and all that sort of stuff. And it's just done in a kind of a bitty way, to be honest with you. You have to, I mean, one of the guns that I got early on, you actually have to pump the gun as well.
To use it, is that?
Yeah, well, to make sure your bullets fire as strong as they can. The light, you have to, when you run out of battery in the flashlight, you've got to pump the little thing to get the electricity going back through it. There's a lot of little stuff like that, which I like a lot of it, but I just feel like there's a bit too much management of other stuff.
Yeah. So sometimes it takes you out of the mood of the game.
Yeah. But, I mean, again, I'm not finished, but this sort of plays into what I've said about the atmosphere in the world and that. But the story so far is quite good. It's way more story heavy than I thought it would be. So that was a nice surprise. But there's a few technical problems.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's just my copy, but the load times are ridiculous.
Some of them have been a bit long.
Yeah,
I mean, there was one that was 6 minutes earlier.
I mean, once you initially load the game, the load times are pretty much non-existent. It's not like you die and then, like in Recore, you have to wait like 2-3 minutes for it to come back.
That was
but
when you first loaded it up.
But when you first start the game, when you click continue or load game, it will take a good 3, 4, 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I should probably time it, but it's a heck of a long time. But I don't know why that is. It's the way it is.
Maybe it's because it's the Xbox.
Yeah, there's a few players out there, and I've noticed it a little bit myself. There's a tiny bit of lag as well, which I think 4A have said they're going to address. So,
is it something they're noticeable? Is it affecting your gameplay?
It is noticeable, and I mean, because it is noticeable, it doesn't actually affect the gameplay.
Yeah.
I don't think it's as bad as, say, Red Dead Redemption 2, but it's something that shouldn't be there. Let's be frank about it.
Expecting,
Yeah. I mean, the controls itself, they're trying to go for a more heavy feel. Because you're wearing this armor, you're carrying a lot of stuff, you're carrying a gun, so naturally it's going to feel a little bit bulky to fit in with everything, to fit in with the feeling and the setting.
As light as anything, that's not going to fit with how your character is.
Exactly. So I want to feel a bit heavy, but the lag is just a bit too much. It's kind of noticeable when you press one of the sticks, then it moves.
Okay.
But like I said, it's not as bad as Red Dead Redemption 2, but it shouldn't be as bad as it is.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, that's fair enough.